Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the 700 Club. You know, isn't it amazing how the press misreports things that are said? The president said that this MS-13, this vicious gang, was a group of animals. So how does the press play that? Or the president was saying that all immigrants are animals. He said no such thing. But now we're looking at the president calling for aggressive action to strengthen the borders to keep more gang members from entering the country. We've got an interesting report on what these people have really been doing.
Well, in Long Island on Wednesday, the president met with grieving families of the victims of MS-13. George Thomas has this look at the brutal gang and the president's agenda to shut it down.
Police! Stop! Police! We got 3 juveniles running from on foot.
They've been called one of the most brutal street gangs in the world.
A ruthless gang that has violated our borders and transformed once peaceful neighborhoods into blood-stained killing fields.
We're with ICE, Homeland Security Investigations in Dallas.
Now, Trump says he's determined to destroy the notorious and ruthless gang known as MS-13.
MS-13 lives by the motto, kill, rape, and control.
Wednesday, on New York's Long Island, which has some 2,000 MS-13 members, the president met with community leaders on stopping the scourge. The estimates are that there are more than 10,000 MS gang members operating across 40 U.S. states and more than 30,000 around the world. Experts say our schools are a prime hub for the gang's recruitment drive.
You know, the school grounds are a big area where the MS-13 gang recruit from.
Trump is floating the idea of cutting aid to countries that do nothing to stop MS gang members from crossing into America illegally. The administration claims it has proof MS-13 leaders based in El Salvador are sending recruits into our nation to kill, rape, and control even more territory. Since taking office, Trump has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, also known as ICE, to aggressively pursue MS-13 members. He's also calling on Congress to end the catch and release policy of releasing people caught unlawfully entering the country.
The consequence of these loopholes, Mr. President, is that although we're doing everything we can to combat crime in the United States, we're letting people in who are creating problems. We're letting people in who are gang members.
According to the most recent stats, there were 796 MS-13 gang arrests in 2017, up from 432 the previous year. In the first 3 months of 2018, ICE reports 405 suspected gang members were apprehended.
You, more than anyone in the country, is highlighting the evil of MS-13. I congratulate you. I thank you for leading this effort. They are horrible, vicious, rotten murderers.
Trump came under fire last week when he referred to MS-13 gang members as animals. On Wednesday, he defended his comments again.
I called them animals the other day, and I was met with rebuke. They said, they're people. They're not people. These are animals. And we have to be very, very tough.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, he's clarifying, but isn't it awful that a gang of that magnitude that wants to kill and rape and control people is being protected by the media? It's just unbelievable in this country. But I think it's time that we as a nation realize we cannot permit vicious gangs to run roughshod over our country. Well, in other news, North Korea is at it again. They're insulting Vice President Pence, and they're warning of a nuclear showdown if diplomacy fails. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau.
Thanks, Pat. A senior North Korean official is taking issue with the vice president's recent comments in an interview with Fox News. Vice President Mike Pence echoed a statement by National Security Advisor John Bolton, saying North Korea may end up like Libya. The North Korean official called Pence's remarks stupid. In recent days, both sides have said the planned June 12th summit in Singapore could be canceled or postponed. However, on Wednesday, the North did confirm it closed a nuclear facility it had promised to shut down. Well, a select group of lawmakers today will learn more about the controversy President Trump has dubbed as Spygate. 10 lawmakers from the House and Senate, along with Trump's chief of staff and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, will be briefed about a longtime government informant. President Trump says the FBI spied on his campaign while investigating Russian efforts to influence the 2016 election. Also today, Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani is saying the president should agree to be interviewed by special counsel Robert Mueller in order to bring the investigation to a speedy close. Well, the first comprehensive prison reform bill in years sailed through the House this week. As Amber Strong shows us, it carries the support of President Trump and former inmates who've seen the power of redemption.
Topeka K. Sam knows the power of second chances.
If you don't have hope, you have nothing. And I realized that through my journey.
The former union chairwoman served time for a drug charge. Now she's free, focused, and fighting for those still behind bars.
That I also was driven and moved spiritually to help women coming home.
She, along with help from the left, the right, and the White House, worked to bring change.
If we want more prisoners to take charge of their own lives, then we should work to give them the tools to stand on their own 2 feet.
The House's latest attempt at prison reform has created strange bedfellows, uniting liberal-leaning groups like Cut 50 with conservative groups like the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Among the bill's highlights, $50 million for prison programs, including faith-based initiatives addressing substance abuse, mental health, and job training, banning prisons from shackling women during childbirth, and allowing certain prisoners the chance to serve time in halfway houses. All things co-sponsor Republican Doug Collins says will keep inmates from going back once they're released.
The question is do we offer them a redemptive path or are we simply a punitive corrective path?
Former inmate and activist John Kufo says it's about changing the process.
Folks come out of prison, they don't have identification, they haven't gone through real vocational training, and oftentimes a risk assessment hasn't been developed at an early stage. And to me, that's like going to a hospital knowing you broke your leg but receiving no diagnostic tests, waiting for it to heal, and then say, go walk.
But nothing comes easily in D.C. Critics complain it doesn't go far enough and fails to address sentencing. Jessica Sloan says, tell that to the folks still in prison.
And I don't think that it's fair to ask people who are in prison to just sit tight until 2021 or 2025 and suffer through the inhumane treatment that they're getting inside and come out worse off than to actually start doing something.
The uphill battle doesn't end here. It's off to the Senate to face yet another challenge. Amber Strong, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Amber. Pat, back to you.
You know, we've done a series on the nation of criminals. We have so many laws that criminalize behavior. It's unbelievable that we have more people incarcerated percentage-wise than Russia or China. We have more laws. And all the laws that we have for possession of various types of controlled substances and various administrative laws that have been put in by agencies. And my advice would be to cancel all the criminal sanctions that are contained in administrative agencies that were not put through by Congress. Every single criminal sanction that's put in by every agency should be canceled right now. And these are the federal laws, but think how many there are in the states. And we have shown repeatedly that there's not a person in this country who hasn't broken some law they could go to jail for. Every single human being in our society is subject to some of these sanctions. And this whole idea of getting tough on crime is just ridiculous. We've got to do something to reduce the prison population. And this move is a good one, of course. Anything to make it better is good. But to do rehabilitation of these prisoners is fine. But mostly, people go to prison and they become hardened criminals. They get to be hardened criminals. They learn techniques of crime. They come out worse than they went in. It isn't a rehabilitation program that we have in our prison system. It's just not a good thing. And it's time we do something major about reducing the prison population by reducing the number of crimes that we have on the books in our country. Terry?
Well, I agree with you, and I think that a lot of people recognize that. We did that wonderful series. It was impressive to see the numbers that were a part of that.
It's absolutely horrifying to think that we're worse than China and Russia. Yeah. I mean, this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, for heaven's sakes. Okay, John, let's talk about what's going on about what the NFL players are supposed to do.
All right, Pat, the NFL is addressing the controversy over players kneeling during the national anthem. The league says next season players will be required to stand for the anthem. The new rule was approved unanimously by team owners at their spring meeting. Players will be allowed to stay in locker rooms during the anthem, but if they're on the field, they have to stand or their team could face fines. Pat, the controversy may not be over because the NFL Players Association has signaled it may challenge the new rule.
Well, Colin Kaepernick was the poster boy of all this protest. You sort of like, what are they protesting? I mean, this is a pretty good country, you know. If you don't like it here, go to China and play football. I mean, you know, these guys are multi-millionaires. They get these huge salaries. They are better off than all but a small handful of Americans. They get more money. They've got everything going for them. And so they're going to protest the injustice of America. I mean, give me a break.